Fellas, let me ask you something. Have you ever walked away from a woman and felt like the ground shifted beneath her? You might think she doesn't care, that she's unaffected, but let me tell you, every action has a reaction. And when you step back, when you remove yourself from her life, that's when the real emotions start to hit. At first, she might play it cool, act like nothing has changed, but behind that facade, there's a storm brewing. She starts questioning everything. Did I push him away? Did I take him for granted? Was he the man I was supposed to be with? And in that silence, in that distance you created, she begins to realize something powerful. She never thought she'd feel this way. You see, when you walk away, you force a woman to do something most people avoid, self-reflection. And that's a game changer, because now she's the one wondering if she made a mistake. She's the one checking her phone, hoping for a message that never comes. She's the one realizing that the man she thought would always be there is gone. And here's the part that's going to shock you. Sometimes the only way for a woman to see your value is in your absence. When you're constantly available, constantly giving, she has no reason to miss you. But the second you walk away, the second you stop chasing, she's faced with a harsh truth. She may have lost something real. The first thing she feels, shock. She didn't expect it. She thought she had control over the situation. Maybe she thought you'd always be there no matter what. But the moment you remove yourself from the equation, the reality sinks in. And that's when she realizes you weren't just an option, you were a presence. Then comes the regret. She starts replaying every conversation, every moment, every time she dismissed you or took you for granted. Did I do the right thing, she wonders. What if I pushed him away? And just like that, her confidence in the decision starts to waver. Now here's where it gets interesting. The emotional roller coaster begins. At first, she might feel relief, convincing herself that she's better off. But soon, that confidence cracks. She gets frustrated, she gets anxious, she starts looking at your social media, wondering if you've moved on. The idea of you with another woman, that alone is enough to drive her crazy. Then there's the power shift. See, when a man walks away, the energy dynamic flips. The one who was once in control is now left with uncertainty. The one who was secure now feels uneasy. And the one who was indifferent, she's the one feeling the loss. And here's the ultimate truth. A woman only truly values a man she feels she could lose. If she knows you'll always be there, she has no urgency to appreciate you. But once you're gone, once she feels that space, she starts questioning her choices. That's when she starts reaching out, sending out, "Hey, how have you been?" message, just to see if the door is still open. But here's the lesson, gentlemen. Walking away isn't a game, it's a statement. It's not about manipulation or making her chase you. It's about valuing yourself enough to step back when you're not appreciated. Because a man who respects himself will never have to beg for a woman's attention. So what does a woman feel when you walk away? She feels everything: shock, regret, uncertainty, loss. But most importantly, she feels the weight of your absence. And if she truly cared, if you truly mattered, she'll come to realize something she never expected. She should have never let you go. Fellas, if this message resonated with you, then it's time to ask yourself, are you giving your presence to someone who doesn't appreciate it? Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away. When a man finally decides to walk away, the first thing a woman feels is shock. This isn't the kind of moment she prepared for. It's not something she thought would happen, at least not in the way it did. You see, most women assume they have a certain level of control in the relationship dynamic. They believe they can push, pull, test, and even take certain things for granted, because deep down they think you'll always be there. That's the unspoken assumption. But when that assumption is shattered, when you actually step back and remove yourself from her life, her entire world shifts and she doesn't know how to handle it. At first, she might act indifferent, putting on a front like it doesn't matter. She might even tell herself that this is what she wanted, that she's better off, that you weren't the one for her. But that's just the first reaction, the surface level defense mechanism. Because once the reality sets in, once she wakes up the next morning and realizes that the messages have stopped, that the calls aren't coming, that your presence is no longer part of her routine, that's when the shock really begins to settle in. She might check her phone instinctively, expecting to see your name pop up, only to be met with silence. And that silence, that's deafening, because it forces her to confront something she wasn't ready to face. You weren't as dependent on her as she thought. See, people tend to take for granted what they assume will always be there. It's a human tendency. The moment she realizes you are serious about walking away, her mind starts racing. She starts questioning her decisions, replaying the last conversation, the last argument, the last moment she saw you. Did I push him too far? Did I make a mistake? Was he actually the one? And those questions don't just sit in the back of her mind, they start to consume her. Now, depending on her personality, she may try to distract herself, go out with friends, keep busy, maybe even post on social media like nothing has changed. But no matter what she does, there's a lingering emptiness she can't shake, because no matter how much she tries to pretend, the truth is there. Something is missing, and that something was you. Her emotions will fluctuate. One moment she'll convince herself she doesn't care, that she's better off without you. The next she'll feel anger, not at you, but at herself. Because deep down she knows she didn't expect you to actually walk away. She thought you would chase, she thought you would fight harder, she thought you would try to prove something. But instead, you did the opposite. You remove yourself from the equation, and that move alone shifts everything.